The president said he was going to take a shot across the bow. You know what that means?
Well, war, right?
No, it means you're shooting across the bow.
Well, yes, we know that.
It means you're not aiming to hit, you don't hit anything. It's a warning shot, and the other vessel is supposed to stop. But if it doesn't stop, you have just told them...
Backed yourself into a corner. Yeah.
Backed yourself in a corner. And now we've announced to them, we might try to take out your airplanes, so make sure you move them before we get there. We promise you we won't try to hit your palace, so you're safe where you are. And maybe we can get the Brits on board. And now the Brits say, no, we can't be on board because the Parliament won't let us. And Congress says, well, I'm not sure we're going to let you get on board either because the American people don't want any more conflict in the Middle East. They've had it. So I think if I were a betting person, which I used to be, I would say that President Assad is as safe as a baby in his mother's arms. Terry?
Well, as you mentioned, the members of Congress would like to be asked about this. They have some questions and reservations about an attack, and the Brits say they aren't going to be joining us. Heather Sells takes a look at this story.
The noes have it. The noes have it. Unlock!
A vote in London has confirmed that the U.S. will stand without its closest ally if it decides to take military action against Syria.
It is clear to me that the British Parliament, reflecting the views of the British people, does not want to see British military action. I get that, and the government will act accordingly.
The White House says the U.S. has not yet made a decision, but Defense Secretary Chuck Hagel also says the administration is trying to build an international coalition that could act.
We'll continue to consult with our allies and our partners and friends.
President Obama appears intent on taking action, although he would not have formal authorization from the UN, where Russia has blocked efforts to pass a resolution. The major hurdle, skepticism at home. Lawmakers from both parties say the president must provide a legal rationale for military action, be specific about objectives, and clearly link the Syrian president to chemical weapons attacks. The chairman of the House Intelligence Committee says the president may need to call Congress back for debate.
This isn't a one-time event and then you sail away. This has real consequences. We need to have a thorough discussion.
A top Democrat on the committee says U.S. officials believe 1,300 Syrian civilians died in last week's attack. But other officials admit that questions remain about who actually controls Syria's chemical weapons and who ordered the strike. What may help? UN chemical weapons experts on the ground in Syria now. Their objective is to determine whether or not chemical agents were used, but their work may also reveal just who deployed the gases. Heather Sells, CBN News.
Thanks, Heather. And ladies and gentlemen, once again we say the trumpet gives an uncertain sound. The Bible says that the trumpet gives an uncertain sound. How can men prepare for battle? We don't know what we're going to do. We don't have objectives. The objectives are muddy and murky, and they are cloaked in political rhetorics. The whole deal is making the president look good, but not really getting too far out on the limb so he offends the people on the left. I mean, the whole thing is nonsense. And as I've said, the words of General Douglas MacArthur, and I say it again and again and again, in war there's no substitute for victory. You do not jeopardize the lives of American men and women in battle unless you are planning to win. And we have messed around in Vietnam, we messed around in Korea, we've done much of the same thing in this Middle East thing, and we've always had uncertain goals. And the president came in and said, well, we're going to put a surge into Afghanistan, but while we're surging, we want you to know we're going to bug out of there in another so many months. I mean, sending a signal to the enemy, like, just be patient, we'll give it back to you pretty soon. This isn't the way to fight wars. It isn't the way to jeopardize our troops. And I'm frankly sick of it. Well, what do Americans think about attacking Syria? Lee Webb has that story from the CBN newsroom.
Pat, Americans are largely against the U.S. intervening in Syria. That's according to a new poll from the Huffington Post and YouGov. 25% of those polled support an airstrike to aid Syrian rebels, but 41% are opposed. Another 34% say they're not sure. 59% believe Syria did use chemical weapons, but they're divided on whether it's the U.S.'s job to stop the Syrian government from using them again. 31% say it is America's responsibility. 38% say it is not. The majority of Egyptians do not want the Muslim Brotherhood involved in their society or politics. That's according to a new poll from the Egyptian Center for Public Opinion Research. 1,300 people were polled. 69% do not approve of the Muslim Brotherhood. 78% say the Brotherhood's one-year rule was worse than expected. And 63% do not want the Muslim Brotherhood's political party to take part in the next election. Health insurance premiums will be going up for tens of millions of Americans under Obamacare, not down as the president has promised. The National Journal did an extensive review of the new plans, and it found that a vast majority of Americans will see higher premiums than they're paying now for benefits that are sponsored by their employers. And many businesses are simply planning to drop all or part of their health coverage because of Obamacare. You can find out more about this story on cbnnews.com. Pat?
You know, Lee, I don't know when the American people are going to realize that they have a president who doesn't tell the truth. He doesn't tell the truth. He said, your premiums are not going up. If you have your doctors, you'll keep your doctors, and on and on and on. Well, under this cockeyed law they passed, if you have 50 employees, you're under the rule where you have to provide all these benefits and do all these things. If you have 49 employees, you're exempt. So what are businesses doing? They are saying, we're not going to expand, we're not going to add employees, we're not going to grow the workforce because we don't want to get under this draconian system. So we're going to hold our workforce down. Is that good for the economy? Of course not. Of course not. But what if you already have an existing plan? It may be really good for your workers, but you're going to get penalized because you're not under some exchange that Obama has set up. It's very complicated. Most businesses probably still don't understand what the thing is all about. And the incredible thing is, though, the Democrats in Congress said, this thing, we didn't realize what we're doing. We're covered by this. We don't want it. We don't want it. So what did they do? They gave a waiver to Congress. So Congress and their staffs, specific, and the congressman can pick which ones of their staffs they want to cover and which they don't, and they are exempt. When are the people going to stand up and say, no way, you can't make laws for us that are going to hurt us and exempt yourself from the same laws? Well, they've done it. And of course, now some of the buddies of Obama who give big contributions have said, look, we can't stand this thing right now. So he said, okay, you got a waiver. You're my friends, so we'll cut a waiver out for you big businesses and wait till after the election. We won't bring this thing out till after we get Democrat Congress again. This is outrageous. When are the people going to scream? This isn't the way to run a government. Lee?
There's something else they may want to scream about too, Pat. The federal government will now give married same-sex couples the same tax benefits as heterosexual couples, all part of a new regulation from the Treasury Department and the IRS. Couples will be able to file federal joint tax returns even if the state where they live does not recognize their marriage. The move comes on the heels of the recent Supreme Court ruling which invalidated part of the Defense of Marriage Act. Bishop T.D. Jakes is sponsoring a massive three-day Christian conference in Dallas this weekend. It's called MegaFest, and it's attracted tens of thousands of people from all over the world. Ephraim Graham brings us a preview.
Bishop T.D. Jakes is a popular pastor across the country and around the world. And as the headline in this newspaper says, this is going to be big. MegaFest 2013 essentially brings all of his popular conferences home here to Dallas, Texas. We're talking Manpower, Women That Are Loose, as well as Mega Youth, all essentially under one roof. And Bishop Jakes has called upon some pretty big names in the entertainment industry
that they want from us
to help him pull an even bigger crowd.
I'm like a little kid, you know, ready to open a present because I know it's something there for me. So, like, I can't wait.
I love Women That Are Loose. I've attended that, but I've never attended MegaFest, and I wanted something where my family could come together, my husband, my kids, and it's an awesome experience. I mean, it's big, it's a lot, but it's awesome.
This conference has drawn some 50,000 people from around the world. It was last held in Atlanta in 2006. and many of those regulars have actually made the journey to Texas to be a part of this.
We drove, we didn't fly, and we rented a car that's really fuel efficient. So we're cutting costs. We're doing all right. We're doing all right.
Can't comprehend that when we dance, we're not crazy.
Gospel recording artist Jonathan McReynolds is among the exhaustive list of talent performing here at MegaFest.
It's always the first time for me. So, if I was at MegaFest, it's the first time I'm at MegaFest. If I'm at Convocation, it's the first time I'm at Convocation. So it's always just a little bit, intimidating for me, but not just because it's MegaFest and it's Bishop Jakes and everything. We're all brothers and sisters in this.
This conference is also about empowerment and education. T.D. Jakes has teamed up with Regent University to offer a school of leadership here on the site as well as beyond.
A todos, the Mega Fiesta. Is that what this is?
This conference is the first of its kind for the city of Dallas, and it's expected to pump millions of dollars into the city. But beyond that, it is changing people's lives with the gospel message. Ephraim Graham, CBN News, Dallas, Texas.
Looks like quite an event, Pat.
T.D. Jakes is an extraordinary guy. He is absolutely incredible. Born in West Virginia, his wife was here with us talking about their hard scrabble days in West Virginia. But I'm telling you, he's a brilliant man and an extraordinary speaker, and I think a good friend of ours. And we're very glad to see this, and we hope it's a great success.
A mob of 1,000 people destroyed a church and attacked its pastor in northern India. Gospel for Asia reports the congregation has been trying to build the church for more than 2 years, but construction has been slowed by local opposition. Earlier this week, rumors began to spread of the Christians' quote, culturally offensive practices. The pastor once again stopped construction, but the mob tore down the church anyway. Then they beat the pastor, his mother, and other church members. The village has a history of violence against Christians. 4 other pastors have been driven away in that area. Operation Blessing farming projects are helping Kenyan families fight hunger and poverty. This is the Maasai village in Kamana, Kenya. OB drilled a deep solar-powered well and provided materials for irrigation. They also fenced farm property to keep wild animals out and trained villagers to grow drought-resistant crops. Village women recently harvested a successful crop of tomatoes that can be sold at the local market to earn income. OB has implemented similar farming and garden projects in El Salvador, Peru, Guatemala, and Rwanda. And you can find out more about Operation Blessing by going to its website at ob.org.